Hey there folks, Luke here with the Outdoor Gear Review. Hope you're all doing well. This is After the Camp, and today we are discussing the Wilderness Overnight Adventure. Go ahead and get comfortable, grab yourself a cup of coffee. This is going to take a while. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, first things first, I have to say that I absolutely enjoyed this trip. It really was exactly what I needed. As you guys know, that my family and I have been going through some hard times. Our mother-in-law, she is losing her battle with cancer. No telling how much longer she's going to be with us. But my grandmother, she was diagnosed with lung cancer, stage 4 small cell carcinoma. It's spread very, very rapidly, and her health is deteriorating very, very quickly. As it stands now, she is starting chemo today, and all we could do is just wish her the best. I appreciate all your thoughts, prayers, positive energies, whatever you want to call it. I want to say thank you all, not only for my grandmother, but for my mother-in-law as well. Now, realistically, I don't believe my grandmother has much time. Her cancer has more than likely spread to her brain as well. They've been doing some tests on that. We should get those results back soon. But with this type of cancer, there is no curing it. You may slow it down for a little while. The survivability of this is very, very low. So we shall see what happens. We'll be positive, but realistic at the same time. Again, thank you, everybody. As mentioned, I really did have an awesome time on this trip. And I even have a blooper for you guys, which I'll show you at the very end. Pretty funny moments. Warning, there is a little bit of cussing involved. So, there you go. Now, the best part about this trip for me was just being out in the middle of nowhere. Being in places that I've never gone before. Just exploring. It really was just all about exploration. And we did that. It was so freaking awesome. I found some really sweet places that I'm going to return to and camp out this winter. Absolutely no doubt about it. I have to say that I enjoyed listening to the coyotes howl and bark at me all night long. It went on all night long. I believe I just heard coyotes. You hear that? If you've ever gone solo camping, backpacking before, when you hear coyotes, first off, it's a little bit unnerving, unless you're getting used to it. But, I mean, there were points at times where they got fairly close, not super close. Definitely loud enough you could count them. You know, you can hear them, their voices overlapping each other. It was just very, very nice. Clear sky that night. I was able to kind of just see the moon coming up. And, of course, in the morning when the sun came up, it was casting everything with, like, this golden red hue. Just absolutely gorgeous. It really was a perfect trip, all in all. Now, when it comes to the gear, we have a lot to go over. And sadly, not everything really performed as well as I personally wanted it to. We might as well start with the Gregory Z65 Pack Storm pack. That was the negative aspect to this trip. And sadly, that pack did not perform well. It's very uncomfortable. You know, in theory, that pack has every single thing going for it. It really does, in theory. But, yeah, sadly, it misses the mark when it comes to basically load control. That pack, the way that it's designed, it has the weight, it has your load too far away from your spine, and it makes it almost uncontrollable. You cannot get it tightened enough to control it. So constantly that weight is always kind of pulling you backwards. And I have a back injury. And I could feel that weight pulling backwards and actually affecting my spine, which made it that much more uncomfortable. I think for anybody else, somebody who doesn't have a back injury like I do, you may find that pack more comfortable than I did. But, I mean, definitely it was really hitting that spine, that injury area for myself. And no matter what I did, I really could not get that pack to the level that I wanted it. Now, on the way back up the mountain the next day when we were ending our trip, I was able to get it to a more comfortable level than the day before. I did repack it, I kind of reorganized things and had the heavier items at the bottom of the pack and the lighter items at the top. That might have made a little bit of a difference. The biggest change was the way I basically strapped that pack down. I had to get it extremely tight. And I actually have some footage of that, which I'll show you now. I have to admit that I was able to get this pack to be somewhat comfortable. it sure did take a lot of tinkering with the compression straps, load lifters, side adjusters, and ultimately it all boils down to the harness itself. To get this to fit, and so that it also, I feel like I have control over the load here, I had to really pull this tight. I mean, it is definitely tighter than I would usually wear it. Or I should say, it's tighter than I would normally wear my packs in general. If I didn't have it this tight, the load itself seems like it's too far away, like it has too much sway in it, like it's almost pulling me backwards. I feel the load really in my shoulders, and there's no way to kind of shift that down to the hips because I have to have this harness so tight. And as you can see there, really to get that to fit and to feel comfortable, I had to get the harness so tight, almost to the point where it was difficult to breathe. And folks, you really can't wear a pack like that. I had to make it up that mountain. That's a lot of miles of just straight up, very technical. So, I mean, I had to do what I had to do to get the job done, but that is not something that I recommend for most people. Now, we will continue to test this pack out. And to be fair, I am going to pass this pack on to one of my friends so that they can use it, they can test it out. Somebody who doesn't have a back injury so that they can get a feel for the pack and so we can understand if it's comfortable for them. Since I have this back injury, you know, that may be interfering with our results. So we definitely want to be fair about it. Like I said before, in theory, that pack has everything going for it. I tell you what, let me go ahead and grab it and I can show you the frame sheet on this thing. So here's the pack, nice and empty. But what I want to show you, what I really want to focus on, is the frame here of this pack. And hopefully you guys will be able to see this. Now, as you can see here with this pack, you have this panel, right? And that separates your back from the loadout of the bag itself. And this is nothing new, this has been seen before. Osprey has the Atmos and other packs which do this, and it works very, very well. Keeps your back nice and dry. This does the same thing when it comes to being nice and dry, but this is not comfortable. And the difference is the amount of separation between this right here and the pack itself. When you stick your hand in here, the Osprey is very, very tight. Very limited amount of separation. It's enough to get some airflow through, but it's also not too much so that the load gets carried away from you. This pack is different. With the Osprey, you can barely get your hand in. With this Gregory, you can get your entire fist in there. You could definitely fist this thing, no doubt about it. And that is the problem. It's too much. You're looking at a separation of about 3 inches. And you can see that if you have the weight of your pack 3 inches away from your spine, it's going to pull away from you, and it definitely does. So, yep, as far as the pack goes, that's pretty much it. Great pack in theory. It has everything going for it. Now, one thing that I should mention is that this pack is very lightweight. This pack weighs 3 pounds, 3 ounces. So it's not the lightest pack, it's not the heaviest pack, it's a fairly light pack when backpacks are considered. Let's go back to our previous backpacking trip with the Arc'teryx Echo. That pack is 7 or 8 pounds and about 100 times more comfortable than this pack. I was able to carry the Echo all the way up to the top of Grandfather Mountain, Callaway Peak, extreme elevation gain and descent, and was just perfectly comfortable the entire time. With this Gregory pack, I noticed issues of comfort almost immediately. So, I mean, just because the pack is lighter doesn't mean that it's going to be better, and just because the pack is really heavy like the Echo, 6-7 pounds, doesn't mean that it's going to be uncomfortable. Something to consider, my friends. Our loadout came in at 23 pounds with food and water. When we added the 2 additional liters, we went up to about 27 pounds. And really, 27 pounds isn't a whole lot, but with the Gregory pack, I would not go above that. I have done some research about the Gregory Z65 Pack Storm, and I am glad to see that I'm not the only one with this issue. I have read plenty of different reviews, and plenty of people say the load is uncontrollable, and it truly is. Next up on our gear list is the Vargo Triad XE Alcohol Stove. One thing I have to say about this stove is that it is crazy, crazy lightweight. You're looking at 1 ounce for that stove. So unbelievably lightweight. So the question I'm sure that you have is, how well did it perform? And it performed well. It did not perform great. I had an issue with that stove with it priming. I did not show that in the actual video, basically because it's my first time out with the stove. It's a learning process. So I have definitely been spending some more time with it, testing it out. And there is a slight issue when it comes to priming. I have learned a little bit of a secret to the stove to kind of get it to prime a little bit better than it was in my first attempts. And I will actually get into that when I do the preview video. It uses 2 different types of fuels. You can do alcohol, and you can also use solid fuel, which I did not use in the overnight adventure, but I will show you in the preview video. If you're going to use alcohol, you really need a windscreen. That is absolutely vital. That is the one issue that I was really having when it comes to the priming of this stove, is that if there was even the slightest of a breeze, it'd blow it out. Absolutely. So a windscreen is absolutely vital to make this stove work. And basically what you do is you fill up the stove, you put the cap on, and then you take alcohol and you pour it on the top of the stove, and that's to prime it. As I mentioned, I do have a little bit of a secret, which I will talk about in the preview video. Make sure to have that windscreen. As mentioned, it is vital, even on the nicest of days. If there's a slight breeze, it will blow it out. You will spend a lot of time and you will waste a lot of fuel to keep priming that thing until it gets hot enough to take off and burn on its own. It is an alcohol stove, so it is not very hot. It's very inefficient. The stove also does not hold all that much fuel. So if you're going to be boiling a good amount of water, you're going to basically have to fill it, prime it, get it burning. It will run out. You'll have to let it cool off, take the lid off, fill it back up, and so on. When the stove was filled with alcohol to the very top, I would get about 7 minutes worth of burn time. So I was able to boil a cup of water within that time. Anything more than that, it would go out, have to fill it back up, and start again. If you were looking at a Trangia stove, it would be as simple as basically blowing out the flame, filling it up, relighting it. Next up, gear-wise, we have our vanquished Husky Organizer. Now, you guys will see a preview on this soon. I'm sure, probably right about now, you should be seeing other previews and reviews of these on YouTube. I'm sure that the company sent these out to plenty of different reviewers, such as myself. And I have to say that I have been using this for a long time now, a couple of months, in a lot of different situations. I've used it for backpacking, I've used it for EDC, and you guys will see that in the upcoming preview video. One thing that I have to say that I noticed right off the bat with these is take a look at the zipper. It's a reverse zipper. So there's really no way to funk up these zippers. You're not going to mess them up. That is super duper nice. The quality on this is absolutely fantastic. I like Maxpedition, but this really does knock it out of the water. But we'll talk about all of that in the preview video. We'll go ahead and just take a look at this real quick here. You can see that I had my iPhone charging cable. We have our spork, lighter, ferro rod, headlamp. We have batteries for GPS, a headlamp, first aid kit, toilet paper, toothbrush, all that sort of stuff. There's more stuff in here, which you'll see in the preview video. But a very, very nice system. I really like this pocket right here because I would slide my knife down in this. Really works well. I've had some of the viewers state that they've gone out and purchased this already just based on our overnight adventure, and already I've heard that they love these packs, no doubt about it. Plenty of different sizes, lots of different options. Just a terrific carrier of goods. Overall, it's a winner. Moving on with the gear, we have the Sawyer Squeeze, and that is the filter that we used. Talk about an awesome system, very lightweight. You're looking at about 3 ounces for the filter and a bag. I took with me the 2-liter bag. No leaks, nothing like that. Functioned very well. The filter definitely works. Yes, it is called the Sawyer Squeeze. But I found that it actually performed better when I would just fill the bag up, attach the filter, turn it up, and just let nature do its thing and let the water run straight into my bottle or whatever. You can just run it like that, bag, filter, straight into your mouth, or you can actually take that water and put it into a different type of container. It really is whatever you want to do. If you're going to be using the bags that come with this. You have 3 different sizes. Like I said, I use the 2-liter. If you have a body of water, such as a pond, a pool, to fill up those bags is going to be somewhat difficult, especially if that pond or pool isn't that deep. That is why if you have some water that's running and dropping, you can fill it up so much easier. This system does come with a plunger so that if you get a bunch of junk and debris trapped inside of this thing, if you notice that your water flow isn't all that good, you could flush it and take care of that problem. I recommend that you try to screen your water as much as possible. Sure, some grit, some sand, some dirt will get in there, but if you could screen it, if you're pulling from a dirty source of water, you're gonna be better off. It'll make your life that much easier in the future. With the bags that are included, you have to be careful with them. If you're talking about any sort of bag that you're going to be carrying around, and that's not a bladder, something that's not going to be protected by your backpack, you have to be careful. It's a bag. You can punch a hole in it. That's how it goes. Now we have to talk about the real star of this episode, the one thing that I know that everybody wants to discuss, and that would be the hammock. And that is the Hennessy Ultralight Backpacker ASIM Zip. Quite a name. Awesome hammock. Very lightweight. Everything included was right at 2 pounds for that system. With this hammock, it is super, super easy to set up. I set that up in about 10 minutes, and it really helped that I set it up previously before I went out. With a hammock like that, with a zipper, you need to know what side the zipper's on. That way, if you set it up, you don't set it up and you have the zipper pointing in the wrong direction. I took the snake skins, I slid them on, I marked one side so I know which side the zipper was on, so I knew how to have it faced when I set it up. Very, very simple. The rainfly that comes with this hammock is small. If you're going to be in a situation where you were really needing that protection from the elements, it would take a little bit of work to get the right fit. Basically, what you would have to do is have that fly very, very close to the hammock itself. That way you're shielded. Luckily, that night, the weather was fantastic. It did get a little bit cold. It got down to about 49 degrees that morning, and I stayed perfectly warm. Perfect airflow throughout the night. And since the weather wasn't going to be bad, I didn't have to worry about really protecting myself from the elements. So I was able to have that fly really spread out, and my hammock was nice and low, so just great airflow all night long. When it comes to tips, I have a couple for you folks. 1, carry an extra carabiner with you so that you can attach your backpack to the hammock line like I did. You can either have it at your feet, you can have it at your head. It will alter the way that the hammock lays, so you have to figure out what works for you. But basically, throw your pack on that, clip it on there, and it's protected from the elements, from the rain if it rains. And you don't have to worry about bugs and stuff crawling all over your gear, crawling inside of it. Very, very easy thing to do, and you can use a really cheap carabiner for that. The next tip involves just basically this setting up of your hammock. You want to make sure that you have the entire thing level. The straps that you put on the trees need to be as level as possible. If you can get those nice and level, you will sleep very uniformly. You don't want to have one side higher than the other because it will throw you off. And you will play the game of scooting down or scooting up all night long. Going back to that solar bubble pad, that thing was a real champ. I absolutely loved it. As I slept on that, I stayed nice and warm. It was comfortable, it didn't make any obnoxious noise or anything like that. And it also has little clips that will connect on the inside of the hammock to kind of keep it into place. A little bit of shock cord so it can move a little bit. As mentioned, I definitely stayed nice and warm. Temperatures got down to about 49 degrees. And that pad really does work. At any point in time when I rolled off of that pad or kind of scooted it out of the way, I could feel the cold air really rushing in underneath me. I just roll back over, get onto that pad, and be perfect for the rest of the night. Talking about staying warm, we use the Jax or Better Shenandoah quilt. Awesome, very, very lightweight, weighs less than a pound, good to about 40, 45 degrees, and it was perfect. I slept in my boxers and just a t-shirt on and a pair of socks, and that was awesome for myself. I do sleep hot though. With that quilt, I mean, you can compress that thing to about the size of a softball. Very, very nice. Very, very good quality. Jax or Better is a well-known company when it comes to hammocking. Now, I receive questions about hammocks all the time. Why don't you use hammocks? Do you not like hammocks? Blah, blah, blah. The truth is, I like hammocks a great deal. I like this Hennessy hammock a great deal. But for me, hammocks are just not my cup of tea. That is not my go-to shelter. For one thing, hammocks will ultimately be heavier than a tent setup. And that is especially true when you go into the colder months. You have to start adding more and more gear to stay warm, to contend with the conditions and the colder temperatures. Yes, you still can keep a very lightweight system even in the winter with backpacking, but you better be prepared to spend some money. In the wintertime, I can always go lighter weight with an actual shelter than I can with a hammock. Always. Now when it comes to my experiences with hammocks, I have quite a bit. I have probably spent maybe 3 weeks in a hammock altogether over the years. Now when it comes to tents, I have spent, oh gosh, countless months. Yeah, I'm not inexperienced when it comes to hammocks. I know quite a bit about them. And really, it is based on that knowledge and that experience why they are not my preferred shelter setup. And of course, that's just me. If you guys love hammocks, and I know that many of you guys do, that's freaking awesome. That's how it goes. Everybody's different. Everybody likes what they like. That's just how it is, and that's great. Now, for this trip, I thought it would have been funny, and it still kind of tickles me, if I had taken that hammock and turned it into a tent. And I am going to show you guys how to do that, just in case you guys want to know how. Or you may be in a situation where you need to. It does seem a little bit odd that you guys voted for a hammock and then I go turn it into a tent. Since you guys voted on using the hammock, I decided not to turn it into a tent. Now when it comes to hammocks, you're limited on where you can set them up. We had that beautiful meadow, that valley, and there's just no place to set it up that would work. And basically, we had to do a lot of hiking around to find an adequate spot. That's a negative when it comes to hammocking, but also that can be a positive when it comes to hammocking. There will be plenty of times where you will not find a nice, open, level spot to put a tent. So, I mean, you could really argue that point for a hammock or a tent. Now, when it comes to the gear, that's pretty much it. Yeah, we had some smaller items here and there, but really we touched upon the biggies. Kind of going back to the trip, again, we were in the Pisgah National Forest, over 500,000 acres of wilderness, and to be honest, totally isolated. Absolutely. I read one comment where an individual stated, hey, you can't be that isolated if there's a tower in the background. Absolutely wrong. That's just like saying you're not isolated because there's a power line. There could be a power line going through, and that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that there's any person there within hundreds of miles. And that is definitely the case where we were at. You are isolated if nobody can hear you scream. And that's a fact. We were certainly out in the middle of nowhere, heard no one, saw no one. We have discussed the gear, we've discussed the trek. We might as well go over some of the comments that we have received about this adventure. Let's hop on YouTube and take a look. Over 304 comments so far for this trip. Awesome. A lot of people had to say that they were very sorry to hear about my grandmother, my mother-in-law. Thank you all very much. Like I said, I do appreciate your prayers, your thoughts, your energies. Whatever it may be, I'm thankful. Thanks, folks. A lot of folks have written in, sharing their thoughts about what their dream backpacking adventure would be. Lots of great examples. Very, very cool. Oh, I should say that I have received a number of different howling videos. Ah, that's so freaking awesome. Thanks, guys. Very, very sweet. I have been posting those on Facebook. If anybody would like to hop on there and take a look at them, you will find a direct link down below. Head on over to Facebook, like us. That'd be great. I do use Twitter, but not all that much. I don't really get it. It's kind of beyond me. I don't understand why you're so limited on characters. I like Facebook better, I suppose. I do have to say that I have received maybe 2 comments about Alex Jones and his radio talk show. Let me say, I was not putting the man down. I understand that he has to sell products. You know, things pay for his network and radio broadcasts and all that stuff. Some of his theories are out there. Guys, there's no doubt about it. No one's right about everything. He certainly is not. He's right about a lot of things, though, and I completely agree with that. Now, when it comes to the items that he sells, I've never actually tried one or anything, so I can't say if it's good or bad, whatever. If you have, let me know. Tell me more about it. based on the commercials and advertisements alone, they don't go into enough information about how this stuff actually helps you, other than it cleans my lungs or whatever that is that he says there. I have had a number of people ask about being in such wilderness areas. Am I worried about coming across pot fields, you know, meth kitchens, moonshine steals? And there was a little bit of an argument back and forth between some of the viewers. Some thought that was ridiculous, but I tell you what, folks, no, it's not. One of my neighbors here was actually beaten severely. He actually has brain damage for coming across a pot farm when he was younger. So it happens. Meth is rampant around here. It's rampant everywhere. Don't fool yourselves. So yeah, moonshine steals. Every once in a while, I'll be honest, I have come across them. Moonshine is so easy to do, most people don't have to set up a still to do it. So, there you go. But like I said, pot farms, I've never come across any of that stuff, and I hope I never do. Drugs and pot and all that stuff, it's not my thing, it never has been. Been very blessed to really stay away from that stuff. So, I could probably walk into a big field of pot and I would have no idea that I was even amongst it. When it comes to meth, that stuff is pure garbage. Horrible stuff. So, but anyways, getting off subject there. It is very, very possible. You really have to be careful because that sort of stuff, those sorts of situations do exist. It's not silly. So there you go. Some of you folks like the Bigfoot story. Awesome. No doubt about it. My friends, I completely forgot to mention the Hormel meals. God, so freaking nasty. Now, I will be honest, the stuffing and the turkey that I had that night for dinner, it was okay. I was hungry, so something's better than nothing. The eggs, sausage, and potato thing that we had for breakfast was incredibly nasty. Nasty to the point that I didn't eat it. I ended up just throwing that crap out in the woods. I packed out the garbage. Oh, yuck. I don't know what was wrong with that. That is the perfect example of processed garbage. Yes, I like to take nice and easy meals when I go backpacking, but I would never eat that stuff in my everyday normal life. And I wouldn't recommend that you do either. There is nothing good about that stuff. It's packed full of nothing but sugar, salt, and fat, and chemicals, and it clearly showed. Oh, some people wanted to know, what else do I listen to? I mentioned in the video NPR, the BBC, Alex Jones. I like Darkness Radio. I like Coast to Coast AM. I really can't think of anything else at the moment that I listen to. I do not listen to music all that much. That's just me. One individual asked if I was ever worried about getting lost, and no, I was not. Everybody is different, and when it comes to backpacking and exploring, you really have to be honest with yourselves. You have to know what you're good at, what you're not good at. I have a very, very good sense of direction. I can read landscapes, and I remember which way I come and which way I'm going. And I had my GPS, which works very, very well. But if you're a poor navigator, and some people are, that's just how it goes. If you don't have a very good sense of direction, you may want to take additional steps. Now, in my pack, I did have a paper map, just in case I needed it, which I didn't. I always have a backup plan. I always have my map, just in case. I usually run my GPS, sometimes I don't, but usually I do. So, you know, with everybody, please, please use common sense when you're going out exploring. That trip was 24.5 miles, by the way. My friends, for the sake of time, we might as well go ahead and end this video now. We've talked about the gear. We've talked about the adventure. It was awesome, and we will be doing another one very, very soon. We'll have the voting on that coming up within the next couple of days. I want to get back out there. Man, I desire to hit the trail so bad, I can't stand it. I gotta get outside, we gotta go. So that's coming up. If you guys have any questions for me, please feel free, drop me a line, let me know. Make sure to check out our Facebook page, our website. You'll find links to both of those in the description box below. Many of the items that you guys saw in this adventure, we will have previews on coming up soon. So make sure to, you know, stay posted, check it out. All sorts of stuff coming up. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you guys around. Strength and honor, my friends. Take care.
Yes.